All right, lovelies. I feel like it has been a hot minute since I sat down to film. It's been a couple weeks at least. But if there's anything that's going to make me find some time, sit down in front of the camera and take some time to chat with all of you, it is going to be talking about the Christmas and July sale from Sydney Grace. You all know, if you have been here before, that I have a lot of Sydney Grace content here on my channel because I really love a lot of their things. If you don't know that, hi, I'm Kelly and I'm a mega fan of Sydney Grace for the most part, and we're going to be talking about that today because I'm going to share with you all the things that I love, the things that I personally would recommend passing on. Most of that will be because of my likes and dislikes. If there is something that I just think honestly isn't of the best quality, I'll of course note that too. There aren't a lot of details on the sale yet. There aren't a lot of details. They're doing the sale earlier this year, which I think is sort of like, whoa, okay, here we go. We got a plan ahead of time. So right now this is sort of like a suggestions, recommendations. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the details that I know so far. And if the details do come out in the next couple days, I will probably just pop that onto the end of this video, sort of how I'm feeling about the sale. But if it isn't within the next couple days, what I'll probably do is just do a short with all my thoughts. So make sure you're subscribed for that. And by the way, if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist. And here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos like the one that I just mentioned. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. I also just have to say, every time I say that I'm a professional hair and makeup artist and like this is the situation, I'm like, no, really, I am. But let me tell you, the last few days here, it has been hot and it has been humid. So this is the reality. So it's a joggers and a headband kind of day today because I don't feel like putting forth the effort and it's too hot to do so anyway. That's not what you came here for. Let's chat a little bit about Sydney Grace. As I had mentioned, I have a ton of content here on my channel. I really enjoy the brand. I have probably been using things from them for 7 years or so now. And some of the things that I'm going to talk to you about today, I have been loving, using, enjoying for that full amount of time. And if there's things that I've just sort of changed my thoughts on, I will let you know those as well. So I will probably be trying to format some sort of chapters to keep this organized down below. I don't think this is going to be a long one, but I say that every time. Now, as I'd mentioned, the brand has not released details of the sale. If you are new to the sale, if you're new to the sale, then you're going to want to stay tuned because if you're new to the sale, that means you're new to Sydney Grace and I definitely recommend picking up a few things. But if you're new to the sale, every day is a different sale special. So for instance, sometimes it's get a palette with a certain amount of purchase. Sometimes it's a straight percentage off. Sometimes it's get mystery product with the purchase of whatever. And of course, the mystery bags, y'all. And the brand is saying that this year they're shaking it up a little bit with those. So I'm going to be really curious to see, as I'd mentioned, if they give details in the next couple days. I will make sure to post my thoughts at the end. I will also say I will have my Sydney Grace playlist listed down below in case you want to see anything, if you want to see some eyeshadow palettes in action. I have tons of swatch content. Like, it's all there for you. This is really just like sort of an updated how I'm feeling, how I'm vibing with the brand. On that note, let's start out with some recommendations, and we're just going to get the one out of the way that you all know that I'm going to be talking about. The cream shadows. I'm wearing one today. In fact, I have a lot of Sydney Grace on my face today. I still love these. I still love them so much, and I think that they are such great quality. For how much you get in a tube, the value is like unbeatable. I don't think, like, unless you are a person where you wear the same color almost every day in your makeup routine, I don't think you would ever go through an entire one of these. A little bit goes such a long way. Today I am wearing the shade Wedding Bells and I really like it. This, I cannot quite tell if this, I don't think this is one that has the larger flecks of mica. I have a very vast cream shadow collection. I will have at the end of this video, I will link my cream shadow swatch video. It will be in the playlist as well, but if you want to just stay tuned and watch that one, I'll make sure it's in the end screen. This is Wedding Bells. It does not have the chunks of mica in it, so hopefully you can see there. It's like, I mean, it's sort of like a shiny nudie skin tone. I love it. A tiny, like that was like a pinprick, and it is everywhere. I will do that with this next one. This is another one of my favorites and one that I wear a lot. This is Boardwalk. So I'm gonna just show you, for those of you that are new to these, can you see that tiny little pebble of product? Like, I mean, I could probably put this all over my entire hand. Yeah, we still got some there that I didn't. So that would be enough for both eyes with no problem. I definitely prefer the ones that are like this. They're very smooth. They don't have the mica reflex. I have just found that I don't personally like the texture of those. They're not bad. It's just, it's not my preference, and I prefer something that just goes on gloriously smooth. So definitely a recommend. I do also really like the multi-chrome slash duochrome formula. I think they consider them multi-chromes. I would say Dragonfly is my number one favorite. So if you want to kind of check into those, but there are many, many shades. And usually every year they launch some limited edition ones, which I feel like usually come in the mystery bags, but again, we'll have to see what happens this year. So that is my number one pick. If you haven't tried their cream shadows, get one to try. Let's see, it's about 3:45 right now, and I put this makeup on at about 8 o'clock this morning. There is no creasing. The brand says that these are not waterproof, which I would agree with because they actually wash off really nicely, but they are pretty much bulletproof. Like, I can wear these all day long with no creasing whatsoever. And all I have on with this is a Sydney Grace powder eyeshadow on my lower lash line. I probably should have put in some whitening eye drops before we got going. The allergy season is real, y'all, so but we're just going with it. Okay, the other things that I would definitely recommend are the cream blushes. So this one right here is the shade Rosebud. This is not the one that I'm wearing. I'll show you that one in a moment. I have a good handful. I would say I probably have 4 or 5 of the Sydney Grace cream blushes. I really enjoy these. I think that they are very pigmented. I think that they are very blendable. They have a beautiful satin skin finish, not overly dewy, but just, they don't dry down to matte, I guess I would say. Love them. My one caveat is that this last year, so 2024, in the mystery bags, they did a cream mystery bag, which I was super stoked about. However, all of the cream products came in pans like this. So this is the blush that I got in my mystery bag last year. And again, if you want to see what I unboxed last year, I'm sure that's in the playlist as well. This is the shade Pink Hydrangea. This is the one that I'm wearing today. For some reason, and it could just be like the way that I am applying it. It could just be the shade, but I find that these in the pan aren't quite as pigmented as the jars. If you got one of the pans and you have jars as well, let me know your thoughts. I just find that that was the case, that I just built it up a little bit more. Now, I will say for some people, that's probably going to be a good thing. If you tend to be a bit heavy-handed, if you like brighter colors, maybe you will really like that. I just find that they're very blendable in general. I'm just taking 2 more natural shades here just to put side by side to kind of see how I feel. I just feel like the jar is a bit more pigmented. Also, I will say that it's not like I have this in an airtight container. I just have it in one of the old Makeup Geek compacts. I would imagine that this is going to dry out at some point, which is kind of a bummer. And I just don't love this format. So if they are in the pans, I am probably not going to be purchasing any of the creams that come out this year, which is kind of a bummer. I did see that they said that for sure they're going to be launching some creams. So whether that means cream shadows, whether that means other creams, we'll just have to see. I do also really like the cream highlighters, actually. I'm gonna pull this one out. It's in my Shop My Stash. So this is Paradise on Ice. The thing that I like about these is they give a beautiful luminosity to the skin, but they aren't like sticky. They dry down really nicely. I would say that these are almost like a cream to powder vibe. If you can see that one there. It is this beautiful, like slightly luminescent. I mean, of course it's going to be luminous. It's a highlighter, but this one almost has like a very slightly duochromatic vibe to it. Today I'm wearing Head in the Clouds. That's what you see here. This is all just natural Wisconsin humidity sheen. But this is highlight. So I really like these. Now, the brand does also make cream bronzers. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that in the other segment of this video, so just stay tuned for that. But the highlights and the blushes I definitely recommend especially if it's in the jar component. All right, so the other thing that I would always recommend, of course, is the Sydney Grace eyeshadows. The pans of eyeshadow are absolutely beautiful. I am just gonna say, like, you really can't go wrong. If you find shades that you enjoy, you really can't go wrong. I personally love the like pressed pigment, the foiled effect shimmers. I think that they are beautiful. They do have a bit of a thicker texture, not like stupid thick, but they do have a bit of a thicker texture. So it depends on whether or not that is your vibe or not. The mattes are glorious. With one caveat, I think that a lot of the shades perform darker than what they look like in the pan. So if you are looking at singles, if you are looking at a palette that you're considering getting, just keep that in mind. The brand usually does a pretty good job of having swatches available. I will say also, I was just perusing the site, and if I could recommend one thing, if you don't have this, they still have the Mountain Trail eyeshadow palette. Now, I got it when it was a bundle of singles, and I adore it, and it is available in the palette, which I did end up picking up as well because I actually use the bundle of singles in my build your own palettes a lot, but it's nice having these all in one place as well. I just got this in the last sale, so it is very fresh. So fresh that I think I've only used it like twice. So you can see the shades here, these earthy, beautiful greens. You have almost like an old gold or like a chartreuse meets gold. So pretty. Ugh. I love these shades. I use them a lot in the singles. They've been used quite a bit. So definitely a recommend for me. If you like a naturalized green palette, those earthy tones, definitely recommend. It's on sale right now for 10 bucks. So I have a feeling it'll probably sell out in this sale, just the vibe. For people who maybe haven't snagged it, they will probably use it on one of the days where like the purchase value earns you something else, I would have a feeling. So definitely recommend. I have videos of swatching all of my Sydney Grace singles. Now, some of those will be unavailable because I have gotten a lot of shades in my mystery bags. So those ones usually aren't available in the future, but if you are kind of like looking for tones or you want to like see shades compared, I have a lot of that in those videos. And while this is the only palette that I am specifically mentioning just because it's such a good deal right now, I'm not saying that there are other palettes that aren't great. If it just depends on color stories. I haven't gotten a palette that is like bad quality. I find that the quality of Sydney Grace across the board as far as their eyeshadows go is great. And the quality of the individual single pans is the same as the palettes. You know, sometimes brands, it's like bigger palettes seem a different quality than like the midi palettes, or like singles seem a different quality than what goes into the palette. That is not the case with this brand. They're all just beautiful. Speaking of eyeshadow palettes, let's talk about Desert Bloom. The brand has shown this one and the sneak peeks and the packaging. I have to say, I love the palette packaging. I think that the beautiful image with the succulents is great. When you flip into it though, I feel like it is not representative of the vibe of the outside. Like when I look at the outside, I'm expecting to see some greens and some green blues to really give that like succulent vibe. And then the sprinklings of maybe some lavenders, some peaches, some sand colors, you know, I'm just thinking like deserty. And then on the inside, it's again like a lot of those Sydney Grace hues, those peachy, those warm peaches. You have a couple little blues in here. They talk about greens, but there's like one green to me. It's one green. I immediately thought of this palette, the Unbreakable Bond palette. I don't know if this one's still available. I was like, this one leans a little bit more pink. You've got, you know, like a kind of raspberry tone in here. But I was like, this one's a little bit cooler toned, but you still have some of the warm / neutrals here. I was like, I have this. I definitely don't need that one. So that one's going to be a pass for me, which is fine. I have a ton of eyeshadow palettes. So I'll be curious to see what the other palette is going to be like. I'm going to be curious to see what they launch, but this one for me is a pass. If you like this color story though, I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. And again, since the swatches are available, I'll just post a picture right there. Hi, so I really quick just wanted to pop on because Sydney Grace posted the other full-size palette they're going to be releasing, the Cozy Cafe palette. So I will say I think that the packaging is cute. The color story is very nice. I see now why they put so many warm tones in the Desert Bloom palette, because this one is definitely primarily cool tones. Even the like more neutralized browns that we see here, I have a feeling are gonna lean a little bit on the cool side. There's maybe one warmer brown in there, but a row of like grayish taupey shades, a few sort of like peachy pinks. Are we surprised? It's Sydney Grace. It's cute. Is it one that I need? No, but it is cute, and honestly, I think that this could be a very good staple. I think if you wanted something that has a little bit more warmth to it, you could get the deep version versus the light. The light leans obviously a little bit lighter, but in my eye, it also leans a little bit cooler as far as the shades that are different in that. So there is quite a bit of difference in that deep palette. The deep one would actually probably be more what I would go towards, but probably not a need for me. Now, I have to be honest, when I was looking at the images on the brand post, I would say that this primarily looks like it leans pretty cool. Like you have, of course, the smoky row, I would say, the more like taupey grays. Then even the top row looked a little bit on the cooler side, but I was actually just watching Leslie, who is Miss Sparkles with underscores. So underscore Miss underscore Sparkles underscore. I was watching her swatch video, and it does look like they lean a little bit more into neutral. And then of course you have the more like peachy pinks, which of course is obviously Sydney Grace. That's just their vibe. So it's cute. I think that if you want a, first of all, if you are new to Sydney Grace and you want a palette to try out, this would be a great option to have something that there's a little bit of something for everyone in here. If you want a like basic could work for anything palette, this would be an option. It's not something I need, especially that bottom row with like those silvery grays. I just don't reach for shades like that all that much. And I do have palettes that I could reach for if those are shades that I want. So it's not a need for me. I think it's cute. It's going to be $52 on the first day of the sale. So I just wanted to note that since they just posted. All right, so we've talked about what I really enjoy and what I've seen so far. So let's talk about a few of the things that I personally wouldn't put my hard cash towards. Okay, so we're going to talk about those cream bronzers right now because I sort of alluded to it in the beginning of this video. It's not that I don't like them. I love the quality of them. I love the performance of them. It's the shades. And I do have the cream bronzer on. However, so the year that those came out, which I think was 2 years ago, I ended up getting both of them. And it was like, one was almost too cool toned, like almost a pinkier bronzer, and one was way warmer, way warmer. And so what I did is today on my little Domnessa Myrix palette, I mixed both. So this was Apple Cake and Bonbon together. I did see that they have a few new shades. None of them, though, I feel like hits the mark. I'm going to be honest. I find that Sydney Grace as a brand can sometimes have a bit of an issue with undertones when it comes to complexion products. And I don't necessarily mean like blushes, things like that, because like a tone can, you know, tones like that can work on just about anyone. But when it comes to the bronzers, was it last year or the year before, the bronzers came out that like looked warm, and then when you started blending them in, they had a weird silvery sheen. That's weird. Didn't love that. I actually kind of talked to the brand about that. And in the cream bronzers, I totally just got off track there, but in the cream bronzers, the two that I got, one was really too warm and one was really too cool. So mixing them together does pretty decently. It just kind of, it depends. I would say that the Apple Cake one I can make work a little bit more than Bonbon. It's like hella summertime, maybe I can get away with that one, but it is just so warm. It's like almost orangey. So that was kind of a bummer, but the consistency of them is really nice and they last really nicely on the skin. It's just the undertones. Like I said, I just find that the brand, I think that they cater more to, usually they cater more to people who enjoy a pink or a peachy undertone in things, whether it's eyeshadows, things like that. And it's just, I don't know, it was just kind of a miss. I would love to see them refine that, but considering that they have like, I think it's like 5 maybe bronzer shades now, I don't know if that'll be happening. I've contemplated getting the lightest shade of bronzer, but I will probably pass. So again, just to reiterate about the cream shadows, the ones that have the bigger microflex in them, that's just not my vibe. If you like that, if you don't mind a little bit more texture on your lids, go for it. They're pretty. It's just not something that I really ever go towards. And in fact, I kind of like, I'll pull out a color and I'll be like, ooh, this one's pretty. And then I'm like, ooh, it's got those like flecks in it. And I just tend to not. I just tend to put them away. Otherwise, the only thing that I have probably gotten that I'm like, it's a hard no, was the fragrance. And I was really excited to see the brand coming out with fragrance. If you don't know, I'm a huge fragrance nerd, but I'm also a huge fragrance nerd, if you know what I mean. So I find that some of these brands that do a lot of things don't necessarily always do their expansions into other realms super well. And it could be the scent that I got. I just got the one that came in my mystery bag, and everybody kind of got a different one. I did not like it. It was very synthetic. It was screechy. There was no way I was going to wear that. There's no way that I would even use that as like a room spray. So hard no for me. I have heard of some people liking them. I don't think I would ever purchase one to try. I have a lot of fragrance that I like. I have fragrance brands that I know that I enjoy, and unfortunately, I just wouldn't risk it. I just wouldn't risk getting another one. I also did not get any of the new like body care products, things like that, strictly because I don't need any. I have such a backstock of things that I just don't need to spend my money on that. So if you did get some things and you've tried them, let us know your experience down below, and maybe I'll change my mind. Also, if you got a fragrance that you really loved, let me know which one that was. So I'll be curious to see what they do this year. You know, they have like their specific more like men's line, and then just like the generalized like body care. So that's not really something I'm interested in, and the only thing I can speak on is the fragrance. That's like it's a no. The other thing that is a no, but not because they're bad, are the lip products. I have several. I think most of the ones that I've gotten, I think I maybe bought one or two when I originally was trying the brand, but all of the other ones that I've gotten have been in mystery bags, and I think I've actually decluttered all of them at this point. They're just not a favorite for me. The lip creams, the ones that are more opaque, are very glossy, very nice. They feel nice on the lips, but it's just like a product that's that opaque and so pigmented is a product that I wouldn't want in a slippy formula. Whereas the lip glosses, I don't know what they call those ones. Those ones are like the more sheer ones. They have a little bit of like sparkle, reflectivity to them. They're okay. They're okay, but they're not a top formula for me. And so I know a lot of people love them, but I'm just not one of them. I just tried them and I was like, this is not something that I ever think to pull out. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that I got rid of all of them, but maybe one shade at this point. So not a hard pass, just not a solid recommend. Okay, the one other thing that I do want to mention in the pass category for me is most of the pressed highlighters. So I have in here a few. I think this might actually be the only, these four up here are Sydney Grace. The thing about why I don't love these is I honestly feel like these are just big honkin' pans of their foiled eyeshadow formula. Like, I don't feel anything different from these. They are very thick. They are very, I don't want to say emollient as in like, well, I mean, they're creamy, but they just feel thicker. Like they maybe have a lot of binder in them. But can you see, I mean, they are very solid. And here's what happens. So you can see here, ooh, ah, very shimmery. But when something this thick is out of the light, so if your highlight is not in direct light, can you see how that is going to look actually darker? And so it's going to actually make the tops of your cheekbone look recessed. Even this lighter pink in the dark, if you will, it's going to look darker. And so I don't love something that has that uber thick feeling. Now, the ones that I have that are different, that I would say are an absolute like recommend, we have, is this pumpkin spice latte? I just want to make sure. Yeah, so this is pumpkin spice latte extra whip, which I think is a lighter version. This is a different formula. This is more of a traditional powder highlight, and it's much smoother. It's much more refined. Oh gosh, I hope that you can see that difference there. So It's just so much more delicate. I love this one. I also still have the loose one. I think that maybe they got rid of these, but I have the loose highlighter in Pumpkin Spice Latte. Love this one as well. Don't think about pulling it out as much because it's a loose highlighter, but I really do love this one. Summer. Maybe it's coming out for my shop, my stash. So that's my honest thoughts on that. Maybe it's just the ones that came in the mystery bags because I think I purchased the Pumpkin Spice Latte Extra Whip. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I purchased that one. So, like, I mean, I purchased it all, but it didn't come in a mystery bag. I specifically chose that shade. So maybe it's just the difference in those formulas, but the ones that have come in every single one of my mystery bags just feels like a big ass pan of eyeshadow, which is also not bad. Like, I could absolutely use these as eyeshadows and be very happy. Do I think of doing that? No, because it's in this and I have nowhere to put these big pans into an eyeshadow palette. Maybe that'll be in a next BYOP, who knows? Anyway, I'm starting to get ranty, so I feel like we're coming to an end here. So there are some thoughts on the things that I love, the things that I'm just sort of like about, and some of the things that are a hard pass for me. So hopefully that was helpful for you. Now I have to say, as far as my thoughts on what it's going to look like for my purchasing without seeing sale details, I honestly have a feeling I'm gonna stay on the slimmer side of purchasing this year. Depending on those mystery bags, y'all, that's where I get drawn in. But I will be honest, last year I picked up, I think, 3 of the mystery bags. At least 2, but I'm pretty sure it was 3. And while I enjoyed opening them and, you know, kind of pulling everything out, swatching and everything, but at the end of the day, in each bag, there were things that I know that I just wouldn't reach for. I don't know if in the creams bag there was really, but like in general, in some of those like mixed bags, there were just some misses for me. Like the um, the fragrance, that was a hard pass. The highlighter, I think maybe I got 1 or 2 of the pressed highlighters. So value wise for me, it's starting to make less sense to do those mystery bags. So we'll see how much I get drawn in. And then what else is new? You know, like I was just scrolling on the website and I was like, okay, are there cream blush shades that are different than anything else in my collection? I haven't ever purchased any of the multi-chrome pan shadows, but I was like, I don't really need any of those. So I'm just not sure. I will have to see what comes out that's new and what the deals are like. So that's just my initial thoughts. I think that a lot of us are buying less makeup just in general because a lot of us have makeup that we purchased previously and it's still doing great and hopefully you're loving what you purchased. And that's where I am, where it's like I have purchased a lot from Sydney Grace that I love, but I also am starting to buy smarter and know that sometimes it's not worth the mystery to be getting a bunch of things that I wouldn't love. So we'll see. I probably will get drawn into a mystery deal anyway. So hopefully by the time that I get this edited and ready to go up, the brand has given us info on the sale and I will have inserted that probably right here. So if you have any questions, let me know. If there's anything that you can't find in my playlist, I would be happy to help you. Happy shopping. By the way, pretty much, I do want to just say that pretty much everything that I have from the brand I have purchased. They have sent me a couple gifts once or twice, cream shadows, and I think a couple of the cream blushes when they first were launching them because I was so excited. But all of the other things I have purchased with my own money, and of course, either way, my thoughts are honest. All right, lovelies, that's gonna be it. Hopefully now we're rolling into sale deets, Kelly. If not, stay tuned for that short, and I will give you all my thoughts then. I will see you really soon.
Hey everyone, here to talk the sale deets. The brand did release the details and I somehow missed it. So I'm just hopping in almost podcast style to talk about these sales with you. Now, as I always recommend for these sale days, go to the brand website and check out the sales and promotions tab for all of the fine details. There's lots of good info in there. I will have that page linked down below in the description box, but let's get into my thoughts on these. All right, day 1 is the Cozy Cafe release. So if you spend $58 on any Sydney Grace, you will get that palette for free. It will also be available for individual sale on that day. Now, you can chance it and try to get it at a discount at a later date during this sale. We'll talk about that as it comes up. Sometimes these palettes sell out, sometimes they don't. I don't think that the palettes sold out last year, so it really just kind of depends. Now, I did give my thoughts earlier in this video on my thoughts on the two palettes that are releasing, so I'll pop up a timestamp here on the screen in case you want to check those out and you've just been hopping around from chapters, so hopefully that will be helpful to you. But now let's get into day 2. All right, this year, day 2 is mystery bag or mystery box day. I noticed that they're saying box day this year. So I will pop up the details on these boxes right here. You can see that we are going to have a few options. So the pink box is what they are calling a curated look with a variety of products. So you're going to get 6 pressed shadows, a blush, a new highlighter. I would assume that the additional item is going to be a lip item because it just makes sense if it's going to be a look, but obviously that is not guaranteed. And it could be different in every box. That is one thing that I want to say is boxes aren't always exactly the same. And they will have a deep and a light skin version. And all of these are $35 and you would get a approximate $60 value. For all of you eyeshadow lovers, the orange box is probably going to be your best bet. You'll get 12 pressed eyeshadow in mattes and pressed pigments. This box is not a curated look, so you're talking about a grab bag kind of, and all of the shadows in here are new. So you won't be getting any crossover with other things you have in your collection if you already have a lot of Sydney Gray shadows. Then we have the black box. This is going to be fragrance. So this will have 6 scents inside. I'm assuming they will be the travel sizes. And there are 3 options, a sweet, floral, and warm and musky option. So all of the fragrance in the box will follow the scent notes of the theme. Okay, I just realized that the black box is also cream, so maybe there'll be different boxes. I think it's interesting that they're doing boxes and not bags this year. They haven't released the details yet, so unfortunately I can't talk about those with you, but the cream box will be all cream products, so we're probably talking about cream highlighters, cream blush, cream shadow. This could technically also be lip creams, right? So again, you have $60 value. This right now is the one that I'm thinking that I'm gonna snag. We do also have one last box, and that is the nail polish box. So you get to choose either a bright theme or an everyday theme, and you get 6 nail polishes. Now, I did get a nail polish in my mystery bag last year. It performed nicely. I have enough nail polish, but if you are a nail polish lover, this might be a good option. 6 polishes for that price is actually a pretty good deal. So on this day, the mystery boxes you can get individually for $35, but also if you spend $65 on anything, so that could be buying 2 mystery boxes, that could be buying $65 in product generally, you will get a free mystery box. Now in the past, I have usually bought at least 2 mystery bags and gotten one free. Honestly, this year, I really think that the creams is the only one that I'm thinking about getting, and I'm thinking about risking it and waiting until the next day. Sometimes these bags or boxes have sold out, but oftentimes they don't sell out. So they will be available throughout the rest of the sale. So if you wanted to use it on a different day for purchase, you could do that. I'm thinking about it. Unless I decide to get the shadows. We'll have to see. But here is day 3, and this is what I was talking about waiting for. For every $50 you spend, you receive $25 in store credit. This is a really nice option if you have a few things that you're wanting to get and you're picky. So you don't want mysteries. I mean, other than the mystery bag, obviously, but like there's another day where you get free product and it is a better value, but you get random things sent to you. So this is a good day if you're okay with waiting to get that credit until down the road, let's say for even like Black Friday sales, right? Or some other time of year when the brand is launching something, because that credit doesn't expire, but it doesn't go into your account until after the sale. So you can't use it during the sale, but it is a good option. So like I mentioned, this might be the day that I pick up a mystery bag if I decide to only get one. If I decide to get 2, we'll have to see. I haven't decided yet. But let's say I did just decide to get one. So then I could pick up $15 in cream shadows or something else that I'd like to get, and then I would get $25 in store credit. So it is a good option for me, depending on if I want to get that shadows bag or not. All right, on day 4, that is the day of the Desert Bloom palette release. If you spend $58, you'll get the Desert Bloom palette for free. I do want to mention that when eyeshadow palettes are released, they are available for the rest of the sale. So for instance, if Cozy Cafe was really catching your eye and you also want Desert Bloom, you could wait until this day. If Cozy Cafe has not sold out, you could get that palette, which I think they said was $52, and then spend an extra $6 and you would get the Desert Bloom palette for free. Speaking of eyeshadow palettes, day 5 is the day for you. If you are an eyeshadow palette lover, all palettes on the site will be 40% off. So this is a great option if that's really all you wanted to get, including the 2 new palettes. Those will be on sale on this day if they are still available. So it depends on how much you're wanting to press your luck, but that is a really great deal. So day 6 is a really great value day. This is free product with purchase, and the more you stock up on, the more product you'll receive. So if you purchase $40, you'll receive $20 in free product. $65 purchased, you will get $45. And then if you purchase $100, you'll get $120 worth of free product. So, I mean, if you need to purchase $100 in product, this would be a great day to get some things, but only if you're okay with getting a mystery group of products. So this is great for anyone who is maybe just starting out with Sydney Grace. You love a lot of different kinds of makeup, but if you have a lot of Sydney Grace already, I think you run the risk of getting a lot of crossover, or obviously if you're like, I do not love blue eyeshadow, then maybe you wouldn't want to do that in case you got blue eyeshadows in here and it wouldn't be worth as much of a value for you. You might want to stick with the day where you get the product credit. All right, day 7, you have pressed blushes, highlighters, and bronzers, and lip creams 50% off. All cream shadows, blushes, highlighters, and bronzers 35% off. And then foundations, brow gels, and pomades, nail polish, and brushes 35% off. And Bath & Body is all 30% off. So this is basically the day where everything other than pressed eyeshadows is on sale. So this might be a good option if you have a random mix of things that you're wanting to get and you're just looking for a straight up discount. I will say, you all know that I really love the Sydney Grace cream shadows. Here are the 2 new shades. I have to say, I will not be getting either of these. I don't find them to be something that's going to be all that new to my collection. I think that there are shades that the brand has released in the past that are quite similar, and I actually have some similar shades in here, but just wanted to show those to you guys. All right, the final day is the day for all of the pressed eyeshadow lovers. All of the single shadows will be 40% off. Now keep in mind that there will be people purchasing eyeshadows to meet those minimum requirements throughout the sale, so some shades will probably go out of stock. I am certainly not trying to create some sort of like hysteria here over things going out of stock, but I would imagine that some of the shades that maybe the brand doesn't have a huge inventory of, or something that's super popular on these days, by day 8, you might run the risk of things being out of stock. But 40% off is a great deal, and let's face it, there are always more sales. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful to you. Thanks so much. If you have any other questions, leave them down in the comments. I will be checking and answering those for you. Again, I have a ton of content here on my channel. I hope you were okay with this little podcast style of run through of the sale, and I will see you really soon.